Okay, great. Here we have the file. One of the things that we asked for is for the files not to be watertight, not to have holes. So very quick, right click on this file that is in the middle of nowhere. We press right click, set origin set to center of mass, and then we move it to the center and everything is much better. Then we'll twist around. I'll just try to put it more centered. If you press Control Option Q, you have the quad view, and the quad view it's sort of like you work on one side when you work on all sides until it's kind of like Tetris. You work on all sides so that it looks okay-ish, and I think that this is okay-ish. I'll put it on top of the red line so that it's actually over something, and I press Control Option Q again, and now I'm back into this thing. Now, if I try to 3D print this thing, it won't work nice. For many reasons, I'll do the wireframe. Shortcut is Z, wireframe. This one doesn't have so many polygons, but it still has a lot. So I'll go into modifiers, add modifier, decimate, and I'll do a ratio of, say, 0.2. That's 20%. And actually, let's do 0.4. Okay, and in order to burn this modification, we do Command A or little arrow there, apply. I'll do Z and go back into solid mode so you can see it looks sort of okay. And here comes that dealing with it not being a watertight object. So, what I can do, I could go into metables, add a couple of metables inside, make them a bit large, another metable, and I know that I am covering the face now, but we'll see how we deal with that later. If I press Shift D, I can copy the metable, press S, I can make it a bit smaller, and I will do it again here. Remember, if you press it and you press S to make it smaller, it will become smaller. I sort of added more beard onto Jesus, which is a bit weird. So I'll do scale on the y-axis, press that, S, Y, press that one, S, Y, and that is my metable. I don't care that it's not perfect. I will turn that metable into a mesh, so right click, mesh, so now it's one thing. I go into sculpting, I zoom out, and remember, if you press Control and click, you're pushing in the material. This sculpture is from the Byzantine era, so people were like really into symmetry, which is fortunate because if we turn the symmetry next to a butterfly, it will save us a ton of work. Although this is symmetrical on the y-axis apparently. And I got more emails. I hate emails so much. Emails used to be great, but now they are kind of like a shittified form of communication. I would actually argue that it's a form of non-communication. Okay, good. So we have this working on. Seems kind of okay. And actually I will make it a bit larger. The point is that we're using this as a filler, kind of like when they put insulation in houses. Like, I don't want it to be completely like I want those little like nice hairs to be visible. And good. Go back into layout and we'll do some tricks here. So I can take this thing and do a modifier that is called a shrink wrap. and I say that the shrink wrap is target mesh 0, which is the name of this Jesus figure, and we're gonna give it some offset, and it's still not perfect, but it's sort of good. If you don't like it that much, you can add another modifier. It's called a remesh modifier, and put it before the shrink wrap. That will give it a bit more detail. And I can do a voxel size that is a bit smaller. And you might be noticing that it, like if I make it too small, it doesn't work out. If I make it like that, it's like sort of like magnetically attaching to the thing. I'll do that at some like raise up some adaptivity there. No, not really, not that great. The offset of the shrink wrap, that is what makes this thing stand out. So like if I make it like that, it's not that great. I'll do offset 0, and I'll apply. So Command A and Command A, and now I will, since they are still separate objects, here, well, I'm gonna name it Jesus. This one will be Jesus feeling. We're going to layout. I will go back into sculpting. At the 2 actually seems to be working fine. Great. So now I will take Jesus feeling and Jesus, put them in the same collection. Next the 2, press Command J, that stands for join. And I can now add a modifier, and I tend to do this thing, okay? I will tend to do a copy, that is Shift D, and that creates a copy in the exact same place. So we'll do Jesus original, and this will be fake Jesus. And this one has to, I will remesh it. So that is a modifier, remesh. I will actually hide the other Jesus, and you can see that that resolution is not that great. So I do, I click and hold and drag to the left until I get something sort of similar to the resolution we want, and you will see that the borders are much better. Okay, actually I think that this would need something like 0.1, which is, will take some time, and actually as you can see it sort of messed it up because it was too much. So 0.2, great. We do Command A. I'll go back into sculpting and I'll choose the smooth brush, and it will work this out a bit. Here it depends on the effect that you wanna achieve. Remember that in digital sculptures there are no styles, just filters and effects. But you could, if you wanted, do something like the scrape tool to give it some Byzantine vibe. Sort of like, yeah, I found it on the ruin of a church on the Cinque Terre, or something like that. Or like I was in a weird town in Spain talking with Pedro Almodóvar, and I saw it in a house and I exchanged it for ice cream. But yeah, this is the scrape tool. Pretty good for this kind of stuff. Perfect. I'm working on a touch screen and I'm using my mouse. Yeah, that's different. Okay, great. So now you have, we don't even need that ORG file, but I sort of like to keep it hanging around. We still need to decimate it again, because press Z wireframe, this is too many polygons, but we'll do a ratio of 0.1. Why do we need to decimate it? Because then if we don't, it's really hard to print. And Command A. And solid. Good. You might notice though, this is a Sculpting class. The texture is gone, but it's pretty clean. So now this is a file that if you wanted, you could 3D print. Okay, no problem. So that is filling the gaps.